When you have a group of sewing patterns in front of you, it can be kind of overwhelming to figure out where to start. Understanding your fabric and distinguishing between its right and wrong side is essential to cutting your patterns properly. Don't be limited or intimidated by a fabric that looks similar on both sides, because you can actually choose to use the wrong side as your right side as long as you keep this consistent and make this decision consciously and not accidentally. In just a second, I'll show you 4 fabric folding styles you can use to cut your groups of patterns. You'll learn the importance of using fabric space efficiently and how to keep the right and wrong sides of your pattern cuts correct and consistent. And remember, check 10 times and cut once. Before aligning the pattern pieces, it is important that you analyze and understand the fabric first. Identify your fabric's face side. The right side of most fabrics is fairly straightforward to find, although some fabrics will need some closer inspection. Very textured fabrics are usually more pronounced on the fabric's face side. Fabrics that have a shiny, slippery finish will usually be shinier and slicker on the face side. In some cases, woven fabrics will be softer on their right side. Colorful prints are brighter and more pronounced on the fabric's right side. If you cannot spot the difference by looking at the fabric surface itself, look at the salvage edge. Does it have any writing on it? If so, the side housing the marked writing will correspond to the fabric's face. Some fabrics are almost identical on both right and wrong sides. For that reason, it is up to you to choose a designated face side. Make sure you mark your chosen side with tailor's chalk or a fabric pencil to keep the cutting process consistent. You will need to iron out the center fold line in the preparation process. If the crease does not come out, don't include the folded portion on any of the patterns to be cut. A double fabric fold, which we'll talk about today, can be used to navigate around and avoid this permanent crease during the pattern alignment and cutting process. Determine how many times each pattern piece should be cut. This should be displayed on each one of your patterns with a clearly marked number. Make sure you understand what each pattern piece corresponds to, whether it is for the front, back, facing, or a detailed piece like cuff or pocket. Only keep the patterns you need in front of you so that you don't create confusion. There are 3 main types of sewing patterns you should be familiar with as a beginner. The first is a cut-on fold pattern. Cut-on fold patterns always have one edge that will be aligned with the fabric fold. You can spot these patterns easily by looking for any one of these symbols along the cut-on fold edge. The second are fold patterns. These patterns are cut as a single fabric layer or multiple fabric layers. When multiple fabric pieces of the same pattern are needed, the fabric is usually folded during the cutting process. As opposed to the cut-on fold style, these patterns do not have any edges that are aligned with the actual fabric fold. Third type of pattern are interfacing patterns. Usually, they have no seam allowance or have less seam allowance than the pattern pieces they correspond to. Separate and group the patterns by the following categories: cut-on fold patterns, patterns that only require 1 full cut, patterns that need 2 full cuts, patterns that require more than 2 full cuts. Ask yourself if your fabric will need to be folded. If in step 1 you identify double cut or cut-on fold patterns, your fabric will need to be folded in the cutting process. The fabric is folded down the middle lengthwise with both salvage edges touching. This is the most common folding style and is used when all or almost all your patterns are a combination of cut-on fold and double cut styles. In this case, the fabric is folded only at the needed distance from the salvage edge. This is a fold often used when your patterns include both cut-on fold or double cut styles, as well as single cut patterns which require alignment on a single fabric layer. The fabric is folded just enough to accommodate the double cut and/or cut-on fold patterns, leaving the rest for the single cut patterns. In this case, both salvage edges are folded in. This folding technique is great to use when you need to avoid imperfections, soiling, or a permanent crease in the fabric layer. Fold both salvage edges in to meet at the location of the crease or imperfection. This double-ended fold is similar to the full lengthwise fold, as it serves both cut-on fold and double cut pattern pieces. Although this is not conventionally done, sometimes it is smart to fold your fabric on the crosswise grain, with salvages folded onto themselves on each end. This fold is also commonly used when attempting to save fabric, or not enough fabric is left to fully cut the remaining patterns on the lengthwise grain. Choose the fold style that is most appropriate for your pattern set and the condition of your fabric. First, align the cut-on fold pattern edges with the fabric's folded edge. Pin through at the fabric fold and grain line first. Align the double cut full patterns onto the rest of the folded fabric surface as close to the existing cut-on fold patterns as possible. These patterns do not have to be aligned with a folded edge like the cut-on fold ones do. Their grain lines do, however, need to be aligned to the fabric salvage edge as shown. Align smaller patterns that require a double cut. Think of your patterns as puzzle pieces. Align each in relation to the other such that they are positioned as close as possible to save fabric, while their grain lines remain correctly positioned in relation to the salvage edge. Use the remainder of the fabric for single cut patterns or those that require more than 2 layers to be cut. Use a crosswise fold for any remaining patterns that don't fit on the lengthwise alignment.